Okay, two fancy words, autotrophic and heterotrophic. What are they? They're two types of bacteria. Now, the heterotrophic bacteria will produce white, milky white clouds within your aquarium, your enclosure, your ecosystem. And if you've got this happening, how can I get rid of this? You go and do a water change and only to come back 20 minutes later. It's even worse. I've got a solution for you. We get to some descriptions of what these things are before we get to the solution, and the solution may really surprise you because what you're doing, probably anything you're doing, is making it worse, right? You think, how can I make this clearer? Don't panic, slow down. This is inevitable usually with a new aquarium or new enclosure. There's only a few plants. I got some Java moss. I got some red root floaters. I got some japonica grass. That's not really enough to break down or use up nutrients that bacteria are using in my enclosure, and I'm getting this side effect, which is fine. I expected this. Show you what I mean. I can put the around. I don't know if you quite see it here. Can you see a bit of strands? Here we are. This milky whiteness, not attached to the inside, actually float around in the water, coming up and down. And you see it stranding down like that because it's forming more and more mass and dropping down through the water column. And that's a good thing, actually. What we have here, this is a bacterial bloom, always known as a blossom, and the solution would be actually to allow, one way is you allow more things in, you take up nutrients that the bacteria are taking up to produce those cloudy masses, and another solution is do absolutely nothing, because nutrients are going to be wasted and used up by it, and it's just going to, oh, there's nothing more to eat, and they're going to die off anyway. And you've got beneficial bacteria, and this is all, they're breaking things down. This type of bacteria that you got the snails feeding on, this today to take out few slices of cucumber, very thin slices of blanched cucumber, I'll put in, and the snails love it. Keep them happy and healthy. They poop, which bacteria can feed on that as well. The heterotrophic feed on that, and then they produce ammonia. And you might think, yeah, that's where the ammonia comes from. Well, the fish will produce it directly once they're in as well, and the snails definitely produce it when they poop anyway. This bacteria feed on the poop, and it's I know it sounds disgusting, but they're bacteria. What do you want? Yeah, what do you want me to do about it? So you're going to get this inevitable anyway. They're basically breaking down this back to its mineral constituents. They're breaking down this, and then they produce into ammonia, and this is just how it happens. So that would be the heterotrophic. The autotrophic bacteria, on the other hand, feed on inorganic matter. What I've got here, I've been putting notes together. Inorganic matter, like, again, the ammonia, nitrite, and nitrate. It's a constituent that can be part of organic things, but it's inorganic on its own. It's a waste product that organic things can, like the bacteria, can feed on anyway. So if you remember, at the bottom of the substrate is crushed lava rock in front of larger lava rocks anyway. They're crushed and to a fine layer where anaerobic bacteria can proliferate in an environment where there's no oxygen. And then further up, you got in the substrate, you got areas where aerobic bacteria will be on that, and you've seen the pluvial stratum, the tiny pellets. These rained pellets create more surface area than it would be if it was a flat surface. More surface area you got, the more potential for bacteria to live on and feed on and exist on in that substrate, which is going to turn things into food, break things down for your plants that can be rooted in the substrate. Now, plants grow and they supply oxygen to the water, and the whole cycle just keeps happening. So if you've got cloudy water, these white clouds, it's fine. Don't panic. The solution is, what do? You know, you think, it's cloudy again, what do you do? I can't get rid of this milky stuff. And then people sometimes add chemicals to get rid of it. It does sometimes work, but you wonder what the chemicals are doing to other parts in the balance and so on. And later down the line, things get out of balance again anyway, because you try to patch it up with a quick fix. Nature, it can be slow at fixing or going towards a certain direction because of where you want it to go, you know, in the case of this. But I think that, you know, quick fixes, chemicals and all that, usually find it bounces, but nature bites back tries on quick fixes. And it's about time we've learned that as a society as well. It's like, you know, you got fertilizers that farmers are using, and the rain comes down and washes some of it into the rivers, and then you get algal blooms that are too much in the rivers, and the fish are choking out because the oxygen's being used up by the too much excess plant growth in the water. And you think, well, that's going to oxygenate water. Well, it's both. It will oxygenate during photosynthesis, but it also do the opposite at night, and it's too crowded and so on. Yeah, and it's all these different things. And nature do its thing longer term. Longer term mentality needs to be applied in so many things in society and towards how we utilize our foods as well, and so many things. So, but that's what's happening right there. This algal bloom, otherwise known as algal blossom, happens as even like pure tap water, it can be considered nutrient rich to these bacteria because there's different things in it that it wants, but it doesn't get like this straight from the tap. Is not milky from the tap unless you had your water board report saying, "Oh, watch your water, it could come out milky or whatever." But yeah, because it's all flowing anyway. But in especially in a low water current to distill. In the case of this, there's not much water. The water's not being circulated around too much, and you know, it just gives it the opportunity. It sits there, and its nutrients don't wash away or anything. It's just sat there. You replace the water, and it's gonna more food. The food available in there is more available at the moment to too much of the bacteria rather than the plants, because I've only got so many plants in. Yeah, it's available for plants can have it, but I haven't got all those plants in there yet, so they're not having it. They're having it somewhere else. Hopefully, whatever plant you are, if you're a plant and you're out there having food, I hope it's a good day for you. I may be buying you one day and sticking you in here, and I hope you have a great time. Yeah, I'm a little bit mad, but this is definitely something to look for. These are some of the little nuances out there in the hobby. People start panicking even if they got a bit of an algal growth. Algae is a good thing. It shows there's nutrients, a cycle going on, and it's using that. And if you've got something that can feed on that, that's food that you don't have to buy from the pet store, like flake or whatever, to put in. If they're happy to feed on it, happy to feed on it. Fish and other occupants, if they're feeding, they're well. particularly fish, if they get sick, they tend not to feed. I've seen that over the years. Because I've come to like aquatic hobby, get tropical fish, we get cold water fish. Had a pond out in our back garden. Somewhere else we lived, we had huge tub things we turned into a pond out back here until the one year where it was such a harsh winter, all the ice it went right to the bottom, and all the fish froze to death. So this is not something I wanted to do again out the back garden in case because we had another hard, harsh winter. So probably what we got. I got some notes written down to elaborate a bit more. So the autotrophic will feed on inorganic matter like ammonia, nitrite, nitrate. Talked about that cycle in nitrate and nitrite before. These are beneficial bacteria, and it's more than just these types. There's probably many other types that do this in aquarium. As long as they're beneficial and they're in there doing a thing, everything's happy, right? Everything is a good thing. Probably about 90% of bacterial bloom happen during a new setup, and this is, you might think, well, I've had this set up for some weeks now. How long before it's new? Well, actually, in terms of new, is what stage you're at and what you're doing with it. I've only recently put in the lava rock, crushed lava rock, and the fluval stratum, and just some japonica grass. That's the only thing that's actually rooted in the substrate at the moment. There will be other plants that are rooted in. So, for all intents and purposes, on the biology, the stages of the biology of it, it's really new. But it was, go back some weeks and it was new as in just a vase unpacking, right? I will be putting together a larger video, a timestamp of what's what. This would be a project in and of itself. I'll use a video editor and a intro, outro, whatever, to get this done. Maybe some graphical displays on the showing that about the biology, how this works, how nutrients get broken down by bacteria, and that waste from that bacteria is food for plants. Plants grow, and the surface area of the plants can have biofilms on it that some of the occupants can feed on, and algal growth can grow, keep cycling around. It doesn't mean that there's zero need to feed. Still will need to intervene with that, but you can introduce things that feed is all part of this food web. You got your bacterial stuff going on, which is giving food for algal growth. So it's now food for tiny crustaceans, which is now food for the fish as well, Daphnia, scuds, and so on. All part of the cycle. It's all part of the bigger picture of something working. And these are added variables of each stage to allow it to work the way I want it to work. Otherwise, if I don't guide it in that direction, what I'm going to get is cloudy water every time because the algal, the bacterial blooms, and plants are not going to get as proper nutrients properly here and there. The cycle's not going to happen, and the water's going to go foul. It's going to be stinky, and all these different things. That's not a bad thing as far as nature is considered. Whatever's doing all that is like, oh, happy days. But that's not what we want. We want it. We're playing around with the variables, and tweaking more plants, the right level of depth of nutrients, depth of the substrate for anaerobic bacteria live at a certain depth as opposed to the aerobic at higher depth or up as well. And it's all part of a cycle that helps this do its thing. A day-night cycle. Lights are on. They came on as usual this morning. 8:45, very, very dim. You get brighter and brighter throughout the day until they're very dull at night. By you reach 10:30 at night, they switch off, and this happens every day. There's a day-night cycle. There's a cycle of nutrients going on. There's a whole cycle that will tweak and improve towards our goal over time. This is going to look beautiful, and I'm excited to see it. The way I got a number of pictures in my head of what it's likely to look something like, and things are never turn out exactly how you imagine. There's always going to be some differences here and there, but if I get anything close to what I'm thinking, I think, right, kudos. It's going to be very nice and relaxing to watch. So one more time, if you keep getting the brand new aquarium, brand new enclosure, and you get this cloudy milky white stuff, don't do a water change. You don't need. Just wait it out, and it will clear anyway. Or you maybe add some more plants in anyway. You know, there's things you can tweak, maybe a deeper substrate, but other than that, you know, don't do. One thing you don't do is change the water. You know, if your fish are okay, if you've got fish in and that's happening, and you know, if everything's doing okay, but the water is doing this cloudy thing, don't worry at all. If months down the line it just keeps getting cloudy and murky and all that, it's probably because you just got a bit of gravel that thick at the bottom of your aquarium. You're not giving enough surface area for the right balance and the right kind of bioavailability to, you know, the right levels of competition between the bacteria as well. Who's gaining food for what purpose before something else does, right? It's all about prioritizing. But in general, you don't have to do a damn thing when it does this. I'm not going to change this water. The only time I kept changing it over and over is basically the tannin coming out of the wood. And word of warning, you know, different driftwoods, they all produce some tannin. But what was Mopani wood from the Mopane tree in South Africa? It really goes for it on the tannin. It really leaks out a huge amount of tannin, and I found that out, which I expected tannin to come out anyway. I did soak it in a bucket over time, and I didn't think, you know, I thought, well, eventually I add water in here anyway. I thought I'll just use the enclosure to soak it out and just keep changing the water until it runs somewhat clear. Tannin in water will get to tannin. There's not just one type of tannin. We'll get to that in a separate video. It can be very beneficial actually for some occupants, a little bit of tannin, because it happens in nature anyway, right? So the natural selection is to utilize that thing that happens anyway. Yeah, that's all I've got to say for now. Thank you very much for watching. I look forward to doing another video soon. I have an afternoon shift for work, so just gonna go shower and get changed for work. I'm only working 3 hours this afternoon. Yeah, and I don't work tomorrow, so maybe you might even see another video from me talking about the tannin later today, because I don't work tomorrow. I can stay up a bit later. Cheers, bye bye.